Hey everyone, it is Devon from the Maniology team. I hope everyone has an amazing week this week. So today we are going to be discussing how to create the perfect galaxy base. And let's just get our plate ready. So this is the new plate. It is called Crystal Galaxy. Can you guess why? Just love it. It's so cute. So, let's talk about our galaxy bases. I am using lilac clouds here. Wait, is it called lilac? Let me just double check. Yep, it's called lilac clouds here. And then I'm also using celestial, which is this pretty like holographic metallic blue. It's actually metallic blue with holographic silver glitter inside. So it's not like super fine, it's a little bit thicker, but it looks really good. So I wanted it to add just like a little bit of sparkle. So I'm going to be showing you two different types of galaxy bases today. One will be a pastel galaxy, and then one will be a more traditional galaxy that everyone is familiar with. So you also want to use any kind of makeup sponges. If you have old sponges, for example, these are like old makeup sponges that I'm using. It had polish on it I'd used before, and honestly, I like to keep them. I don't want to throw them away after just using it once. I prefer to recycle them, so I just keep them in a baggie for later. So you can see that even though this has polish on one side, I just ripped it off, and this side is still usable. So you're going to see me use that today. Also, you can use whatever polishes you want. You don't have to use the same colors I'm using. I just picked these colors because I thought they would look good. You'll also need your stamper and your scraper. So I'm going to grab my tweezers. You can purchase this on the site. I believe it's called a pinching tweezers, I believe. For those of you who are familiar with gel and acrylic application, you could use these for creating a really nice C-curve, but if not, they work beautifully for holding a sponge. So you want to make sure that your bases are completely dry before you do this, and I'm going to go ahead and work on this one first because it's a bit easier. You want to start with a very, very light colored base. I'm going to be using different shades of purples, blues, and pinks. Again, you don't have to use exactly the same color combination as me. You can use whatever you want. If I'm unable to answer your questions, please forgive me. I'm trying my best to manage the live and then also answer your questions and read the comments and everything. So for this galaxy base, we're gonna be a lot more forgiving because I'm thinking about how I want to stamp my design. So for this, I don't need to have like the perfect kind of galaxy, and I'll show you what I mean when we work on the traditional style. So you can just go ahead and load up your sponge with whatever colors you want. I'm staying in the blue, purple, pink vibe. It's kind of, this style of galaxy that we're about to do is very similar to kind of like the ombre or tie-dye, I guess you can say. And then we're just going to go ahead and kind of blot off that extra on any piece of paper you have. Then I'm just going to go ahead and kind of blot that onto my nail tip. As you can see, it's just a really soft wash. That's part of the reason why I highly recommend putting down a base before you do this, a very, very light base, so that way if you apply your polish, since it's being applied so thinly, you know, it's not like a traditional way where you'd stamp it on or you would paint it over the whole nail. Because of that, it's better to have some kind of like white base or any pastel base you want. I'm just gonna go ahead and like load up a little bit more. And then I'm just gonna start adding it to the areas that I kind of want. So I kind of want more blue there. And then I'm gonna go ahead with using this same sponge over again. And part of the reason I'm using the same sponge over again for this part is that I want the colors to kind of diffuse into each other. I don't want to have a lot of harsh lines, and it's a little bit easier to do that when I am working with a sponge that already has some polish on it. So there, that's kind of already helping us create our fun galaxy base. Now I'm going to take a very, very small piece of sponge like this, and I'm going to go back in there and apply some pink. And again, be careful when you're doing this. You don't want to over sponge, because if you do, there's going to be a point where you start taking polish away. So just lightly tap, and make sure to kind of have a little break in between if you need to, if your polish needs to dry, because the more layers you put on top, the more wet your polish becomes. And then it just ends up getting like really textured and mushy looking, which is not a cute look. So again, you don't have to apply things everywhere. You're just kind of applying sporadically. So you can kind of see I've got a sporadic design going on. And then we're going to go back and take one more color. And for this, I'm going to go ahead and use another small piece of sponge. And this is a trick you can do to help diffuse colors if you are working with like really, really intense contrasting colors and you don't want to have that harsh line. You can just go ahead and apply a small amount of whatever your background or base color is, and then take that really bright color. So the one that I'm using is going to be Boys' Tears. I'm gonna just like, there's not too much on my brush as you can see. I'm just gonna gently kind of dab it on there. So again, I don't want a lot of this color because it is much stronger. And I'm even gonna kind of dab it off there. And then just go ahead and sponge on some areas. You can see now that it's got some darker spots, but again, we don't want to go too harsh with it. And this is our all over pastel galaxy. Now, for the topper, because you can't have a galaxy without a little shimmer, right? I'm going to be using Expedition Pearl and another small piece of a sponge, my recycled sponge. There you can see. And just going to apply a healthy amount of that Expedition Pearl onto this sponge. Then we're just going to go ahead and apply that there you go. Check that out. Doesn't it look pretty? Give me hearts if you think it looks pretty. If you like this sparkly pastel galaxy base. Do we only have one heart? Okay, there we go. I was like, wow, you guys don't like pastels? That everybody loves a little sparkle. So yeah, this is going to be our galaxy base. So we will put this on the side, and now I'm going to show you how to work on our dark, more traditional galaxy base. After we're done, I'm going to show you how you can add this and this together to create an amazing, stunning, out of this world manicure. So I'm just going to put this on the side for now. Now we're going to focus on our traditional dark galaxy. So again, I am using Celestial for the base. I just used one coat. You can use black if you want. It also looks really good. And then for this, I'm going to use darker colors. So I'm using some reds and purples. I'm going to be using Dusk, Littlefoot, Viper, and we're going to try a little bit of Aphrodite too. So using your makeup sponge, we're going to use a bigger one for this. I'm just going to go ahead and apply a little bit of this Celestial blue on it because I want a diffused look. And you're going to notice that when I do this, I'm kind of going to create a more angled type of galaxy. Thank you, Kian, for explaining. The plate that we're going to be doing is Crystal Galaxy, which is not released yet. It will be available on our site on January 21st. So if you aren't signed up for our newsletter, make sure you sign up because you will be the first to know when it launches. Now we're going to go ahead and just stamp that on. You can kind of see. You can see that there's like more of a darkness and then it's a little bit lighter over here. And that's kind of what we're going for. And then go ahead and take Viper polish or any type of purple you want, and then we're just going to go ahead and apply more of that onto your sponge. Again, don't worry about having a sponge that's like perfectly clean. You don't really need to worry about that. Then I'm just going to go ahead and apply some of that towards the edge. Then you're going to go ahead and grab a bit of that Aphrodite, which is a holographic red, and a small piece of sponge. And then you're just going to go over a bit of your Viper. So when you're creating this type of galaxy, you kind of want to create a diagonal pattern. With our last galaxy, it didn't matter as much, but for this one, you're going to want to create something that creates a line, a diagonal line. It doesn't matter which direction you have it facing, but that is usually the quintessential galaxy look, is with the, galaxy being diagonally applied. Usually the center is going to be a bit lighter. So for that, we are going to take actually some of our other colors, like Littlefoot, and we're going to go ahead and make that center slightly brighter. Use a small piece of sponge for this as well. go ahead and just apply some of that on the sponge. So I'm going to go ahead and apply it towards the center of our design to kind of brighten up our galaxy right there in the middle. Can you see how we kind of made it a little bit lighter with that purple diagonal line? And I think I'm going to go back and add a little bit more of that purple. So when you're doing this, you just want to apply very, very thin layers of polish. You're not trying to glob it on, because again, the more you apply, the thicker the coats get, and then the more your polish takes like longer to dry. So there we kind of have a bit of a galaxy line going through. And then I'm gonna go back and actually even gonna add a little bit of our lilac clouds to the center to kind of brighten it up, just a little. So if you want, you can even add green or teal to kind of brighten this up. I thought about kind of keeping it a little bit more neutral, so we have a lot more reds and purples. But the cool thing about galaxies is that you can really do whatever you want. So you see how our center is getting a little bit lighter. So when you're working with this, the center of the galaxy is always a bit brighter. And the cool thing is, if you make a mistake and you overdo it, you're always welcome to go back with whatever your dark color is. So for example, let me show you. So my dark color was Celestial. So you can always take that and go back in and add a little bit of that darkness back into it if you need to. And if you made, you know, a mistake or you don't really like something that you did, you can always just go back and correct it. That's the cool thing about galaxies. And also, there's no such thing as an ugly galaxy. They're all amazing and beautiful. So you can really just do whatever you want. And this is our traditional dark galaxy. So let me show you side by side. But we're gonna add a little bit of sparkle in here because this sparkle looked so good. And you can use whatever shimmer you want. I'm going to be using another color from the Moonbeams collection. I want to use Planet Silk. And another small piece of sponge. So as you can see, I'm really trying to stretch my sponge out and get the most use of it, so that way I don't just treat it as a single-use item and trash it and throw it away. I really don't like doing that. So I'm just gonna go back in with our Planet Silk and add some pretty shimmer. Just gonna do just the center. And check that out. Doesn't that look fantastic? Just does the center, puts it everywhere. I couldn't resist. It's so pretty. So now you can see our two galaxy pieces. Okay, what do you guys prefer better? Pastel Galaxy or Dark Galaxy? Pastel Galaxy, write 1 in the comments. Dark Galaxy, write 2. Tell me which one you guys like better. I'd love to hear. Dark. Sherry says she likes the Dark Galaxy better. Two. Oh, we have a lot of people who prefer the Dark Galaxy. I wish you guys could see more of the details in person. Again, the camera never does it true justice. I am a sucker for number 1. Oh, I do see some people who prefer number 1. Okay. So, on to the fun part. I mean, all of it's fun. But this is when our galaxy comes alive. I'm going to be putting some of these fun little details using the color pewter. And grab your stamper and your scraper. I am going to be using my absolute favorite stamper, which I know I've told you guys like a million times. And I don't know why it's my favorite, it just is. Everyone has their own personals, but this is mine, the double-ended. Okay, haha, you cannot see. It is too dark. Let me do it this way. Oh, there, you can see the stars that I put on the darker parts of the galaxy. So, in this case, because I went so dark and shimmery, you can go ahead and use something brighter if you want, like white. You could even do a double stamp, which is what I'm about to do. And the awesome thing about this design is it doesn't have to perfectly line up for you to still get that cool effect. Yeah, check it out. Then you can do, let's see, another cute little star. Here, I'm gonna flip this plate around. Do can you see all my cute little stars? My galaxy design. And then for this one, we are going to be doing an all over nail print, so you can see. Since the galaxy that we created was kind of more of like an all over galaxy, we didn't just create like a diagonal line in the down the center, I guess you could say. So we're gonna create that with our pewter. Just apply it all over your stamp. Oops. I forgot to clean my stamper before I stamped. We almost had a nightmare. But it transferred beautifully. Man, this looks so cute. I'm like, how come? I feel like my angle or my lighting or something is making it blurry. Hold on. Let me see if I can get it a little closer so that way you guys can see more of the details. You can see those tiny little stars and dots transferred beautifully. See all these little tiny dots. Kian is right. This plate is not the same as Kelly Marissa's collab plate, but there are some things that I feel like if Kelly Marissa made a second plate, I could see a lot of these things kind of being on that second plate. So it's similar vibes. So if you liked Kelly Marissa's collab plate, you'll probably be loving our crystal moon or our crystal galaxy. And then this is the second galaxy design that I did. Like, man, I wish you guys could see the details. It's so sparkly and shimmery. Oh, there. Maybe if I like angle it down. You guys see it? It's like only when I kind of tilt it a certain way, I feel like you can really see it. Oh, there. You can kind of see it more when I tilt it. I think all that pretty shimmer made it hard to see. Debbie said the crystals make it go zoom right into her cart. Hilarious. I completely understand. I mean, I love all things crystals too. Thank you, Sharon, for answering my question. So these are 2 easy, simple galaxy bases that you can do using whatever colors you have. Again, it doesn't have to be the colors that we use today. Keep your eye out for this plate. Make sure you sign up for our newsletter. Again, the launch is on January 21st. So if you want to make sure it's added directly into your cart, sign up for the newsletter because that'll be the quickest way. Since when we send out our newsletter for our new product launches, there's a link to take you directly to the product page so you can just immediately add it into cart. You don't have to like mess around and go to the site and look for the product. Like, we make it very, very easy for you guys. So again, make sure you're signed up for our newsletter if you are wanting to pick this plate up. Someone had mentioned earlier, I don't see that comment, but I know that someone had mentioned earlier about how when they're using sponges, sometimes pieces of sponge get into the nail art. So let me explain why that's happening. When you apply too much polish onto the sponge, or it's mainly that. It's mainly when you apply too much polish onto the sponge or you use the sponge too much, bits and pieces of the sponge start to peel off the more that you're using it. It's because the polish is starting to dry or the polish is caked on too much. So instead of it just, easily applying the polish, it's getting a bit tacky and it's like coming off in clumps. Whether the sponge is coming off in clumps or the polish is coming off in clumps, it usually means that there's too much product applied to this sponge and that it's probably getting dry. So at that point, you might need to tear it off and start again with a cleaner sponge. Or it could mean that your polish base is still too wet. You might need to let it dry more. So my tips for that is always make sure that you have a very dry base when you're doing this. Only apply a little bit of polish to the sponge and then make sure to dab it off just a bit. And if you notice that it's like when you're doing this, it's kind of sticking to your table or whatever you're dabbing it on, it probably means that the sponge is too dry or the polish is too dry or something. So that is one way to make sure that the sponge doesn't come off. Maniology needs to come out with a nail practice stand. Do you mean something like this? Like a nail tip stand that maybe might be on its way out, being launched sometime. I highly recommend that if you are looking for something like that, just make sure that you are, signed up for our newsletter. Hint, hint. Someone said, I wonder if the small pieces of chamois would work. You know, I am not sure. I don't have a chamois, so I don't know what the material's like. If it's like a sponge, probably will. But maybe just test that on something first before you start doing your nails with it. Oh, Sharon, you're so sweet. Thank you. And someone asked, I painted these by hand, and it took me 5 ever. My nail art is always taking me days. I have no kids. I only have a small dog and a husband, so this is a lot of my time, especially with quarantine COVID going on. But I kind of regret putting all these little stars on it just because I really liked how well the flames looked with just all black. It read really well from a distance, like you could see exactly what it is. And now I feel like with the stars on it, it's like I can't read it as well, but that's okay. Aw, you guys are so sweet. Thank you so much. I'm happy you guys enjoyed this tutorial for our Galaxy base. Again, if you end up purchasing the plate and you get excited, show us your email confirmation or something. Or if you end up creating any kind of Galaxy nails and you end up using some of my tips, again, make sure you mention hello@Maniology, #Maniology. We love seeing your creations. I love seeing your creations. We're always checking that hashtag. And I hope you guys have an amazing week. Thank you so much for joining us. And yeah, talk to you guys later. Bye.